There's a very interesting qualification and a version of the account that's coming out now about why Ahmed Yaqub has stopped representing the family with the two lads who were involved in attacking the police, one of whom was then kicked in the face twice by a police officer who's since become the subject of a police investigation. And the first report suggested that he'd been sacked by the family. Now he says that he's stepping aside and that he'd introduced the family to another lawyer and that he was concerned about the amount of media attention that he has been getting. Well, he's always very vocal on TikTok, and so I find it very strange that he should be bashful about the publicity he's attracted. However, he initially said that he wanted to get justice for the family, and with the revelation of the earlier scene of the two boys attacking the police, it's very difficult to think that any justice for the family can possibly involve anything other than a prison sentence. And I still think that the Greater Manchester police officer who was suspended for kicking the man on the floor in the head following the arrest, or as the arrest was effected, sends out a signal to the wider country and to the media that our understanding of policing has changed radically. And I think the police are concerned about retaining their officers, and this is not going to help it. The police constable is now facing a criminal investigation for assault. Doesn't mean that criminal charges are necessarily going to follow, but it does recognise that the actions that he took have led to consternation. And Yaqub had initially said nothing can justify a kick to the head. Nothing can justify a kick to the head to a defenceless man and a stomp to the head. Those are my views. These officers are highly trained. They shouldn't be losing control or seeing red. I don't think that statement is anything that can be challenged. His statement about wishing to get justice for the family or to exonerate the family, which he had also made, I think, is dead in the water. He says that the media had tried to sabotage him. It's not the first time they've done this. And he said that they want the whole situation to be about him rather than police brutality and police misconduct. But I think he's distracting here. The issue is simply one of image, and it's a really good example where there isn't a binary choice. This person is good, this person is bad. There are two fundamental faults. One is the fault of the brawl and the two people attacking the police, and the other is the fault of the police officer kicking the fellow in the head. And Andy Burnham has urged people not to rush to judgment over the issue, saying that it's a complicated situation. He's also critical of Lee Anderson, who said that the man who did the kicking should have been given a medal and that the man on the floor was an animal. Burnham says we must allow the authorities to do their job. We can't live in a country that has summary justice. But we do live in a country that has social media, and the social media message is very clear that the police have changed the conduct of policing. Now, we can accept that or we can reject it. And it can be explained away or it can be accepted by the police. They are, after all, in many ways in charge. What we can't do is ignore the footage that we saw with whatever overtones that we need to allow the authorities to do their job, or we mustn't jump to conclusions. This is nonsense. When we see an image, when we see footage, we jump to conclusions. And to hold off and say, I don't know what I'm seeing there, is ridiculous. We can't unsee what we have seen. And I am as appalled by the sight of a policeman kicking somebody in the face as I am appalled by the sight of two youths attacking the police and manhandling them in the way that they did, without any respect for authority. Without any respect for authority, the office, at all. Now, that means, how do we deal with a society that doesn't have respect for the police? The only route is to have fear for the police, and that's something that I think is not a route to go down. But the kicking demonstrates to my concern that is a route that may already have been anticipated. So the authority figures have greater power, the authority figures have bigger weapons, the authority figures have bigger boots. Is that how we establish our law? Power is might? That isn't the way forward that I think I would have been told when I was a child. Things have changed. And to compound that change is the story of Tommy Robinson being arrested yesterday afternoon. I think we've got to a disturbing impasse, and I think we're in much the same territory that we were in a while back when people were saying there's a difference between when people were talking about whether somebody had committed a crime. Somebody may not necessarily have committed a crime, but is it right? And we're not in a position to say whether somebody's committed a crime. We are in a position to say that does not appear to be right. We're in a position to make ethical judgments, not legal judgments. We're in a position to make moral judgments, not legal judgments. We're not judges, we're not the jury, we're not trying somebody, but simply by what we see, we make a moral judgment. Not only about the individuals involved, but about whether we want this to be the society of the future. And I certainly don't.